The drifter gets an intrusive thought and gets scared. He feels like he can't even control himself. He tries to distract himself from these negative patterns in his head by escaping into things that take him away from his mind. That includes video games, watching porn, binging anime, binging TV. He cannot seem to settle. And then he repeats this cycle. The second he is a chance away from his fun, he's brought back to his ruling mind that gives him these negative thought patterns and leads him towards laziness and distractions. The drifter cannot seem to get out of his head. The player sees an intrusive thought and can't help but to laugh. These thoughts are not mine, he says as he goes about throughout his day. The player's mind is clear. He's focused on what is in front of him. He has thousands and thousands of hours worth of meditation practices. You can see in his eyes the amount of presence that he holds. The player recognizes that thoughts are going to be there regardless, but you have the control to focus your attention on them or not. What causes our minds to do this in the first place? Like, it's so annoying to live in this world where our mind is just taking over us. Like, we feel like we can't even control our thoughts. You know, most of the time I lived my life with an absent mind. I was mindless. I wasn't there. Like, I was so in my head overthinking every single minute detail, every single situation. I would just be overthinking it, and I would give myself anxiety. The situation wouldn't give me anxiety. I would give myself anxiety because of the overthinking patterns in my head. I didn't know how to even think. I didn't know how to recognize thoughts. We were never taught any of this. I think it's such an important skill to pick up, to know your mind, to know how your mind works, what influences you, how to know if something is like in your mind a lot, and how to take that away or redirect your attention towards something else. So the first thing that's going to affect our mind negatively is stimulation and influences. Unfortunately, we live in a stimulated world. There's so much out there. There's social media. You can literally see in anyone's life. But the thing is, like, we might think like, okay, everyone does social media, everyone's an influencer, but it's just not true. I think it's like less than 10% of people, like 1 in 10 people do influencing, or it might be less than that. But I'm telling you, those thoughts that you constantly have in your mind are because of what you're influenced by. If you're constantly watching anime, of course you're gonna be thinking about anime all the time. If you keep watching that brain rot streamer, of course you're just gonna like speak like him, talk like him, and think about like these like the stupid jokes that they tell. What your friends do. This isn't even about simulation. This could be about your friends. Like, how do they speak? What do they think about? What do they talk about? What do they do? What do you do around them? What do you think about all the time? What are you watching on YouTube? What type of information are you downloading all the time? Because you might not realize it, but that information is going to be there. And if you don't know how to redirect your attention, if you don't know how to think, those influences will rule you. The next question is, what type of content do you watch? Do you watch educational content, or do you watch brain rot streamers, or do you watch Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, TikTok? Like, I'm telling you, I deleted TikTok over a year ago, and I never looked back. Like, I'm sure you can use TikTok like to your advantage, but you don't even use social media to your advantage, right? Instead of being a consumer, be a creator. That's what I always want to encourage. But even that, like, if you're not a creator, then get off social media. You don't even need it unless like you're actually using it for educational content or anything else that is productive, which I'm guessing like most of the time since you're watching this video, it's not. You don't realize this, but you are slowly brainwashing yourself with the content that you watch, and it's brainwashing you. It's all this information in your head is getting like overloaded by this just brain rot information. And what happens is, when you go into this mindless state of mind, when you're a feather in the wind, you can just think about anything, the things that you do all the time will influence you. So imagine if you watched podcasts all the time. Imagine if you listened to good educational content. Imagine if you didn't watch brain rot, dopamine-filled videos all the time. You can brainwash yourself to the good side just the same as you can do to the bad side. What you don't realize with the simulation though, and why it's so dangerous to be scrolling on Reels, like, don't get me wrong, like, I scroll on Reels too. I find myself just randomly doing it. I don't even know why. I don't even want to do it. I know in my mind it's pointless, but it's addiction, right? They made these things to get in your head. They made these things to influence you like this, to make you addicted. You're always like grabbing for your phone like you have fucking like Tourette's. Like, stop. It's almost like we can't even control our hand and our phone and anything. But what you need to realize is, over time, that stimulation will pile up. It will get so piled up that it's going to be so hard for you to clear your mind and to take back control of your life and your mind and what you think about. You need to like take the step forward after this video, during this video, to be like, you know what, like, fuck this shit. Like, this is my mind, my life. I'm gonna take control of it. I choose what I'm influenced by. I choose where my attention goes. Say it to yourself. Take a final stand right now and be like, fuck this shit. Like these companies, these game masters that want to make us addicted to this stuff just to make money. Like I don't know why the fuck they do it. Actually, it's like it really is evil. You know what I mean? They're just keeping us like robots. They want to turn us into like cyborgs. Okay, but how to actually fix this is the next question, because it really is as simple. Like you really know the answer to fix this. It's stop watching that stuff. It's to get it out your face. It's to delete it. It's to unsubscribe from those just random YouTube channels. It's to unfollow those random Instagram, TikTok channels, right? And slowly, like I said, start brainwashing yourself with the good content. Listen to educational books. Go watch a podcast. Go watch long form content, or just go outside, be a human, get off your computer, get rid of that blue light that's like blasting into your face. Because like blue light is linked to like make you depressed and stuff like that. Like I have a filter on my computer and on my phone for blue light, so I don't really get blue light as much as I do anymore. But I'm telling you right now, you get to choose. You can build your reality. You can choose where your mind goes by choosing what you're influenced by. What type of people do you hang around? Like genuinely, like let's have a conversation right now. Let's have a deep conversation about this. Like, who are your friends? What do they talk like? What do they think like? What do they always say? How do they act? And look at that and be like, do I really want to like conform to them? Because you may not like it, but regardless, like the friend group that you have, you will conform to them regardless. Like if you like, nah, like I won't be like them, then don't hang out with them, right? If you don't like what they do, then do not hang out with them, right? And do this for yourself. Don't just be selfish and be like, oh, like no, like you mean they're gonna say this and that, like who gives a fuck, right? Start brainwashing yourself with self-improvement videos and you mean reading good books, etc. There's a lot of things that you can brainwash yourself with. And I know like people say like, oh, you don't watch self-improvement videos because the more you watch them, etc., like the more likely you won't take action or something like that. But here's what I say. Like instead of I'd rather you watch self-improvement content than watch streamer content. If you were gonna watch any content, it would be good content, like self-improvement, educational, something to learn. Andrew Huberman, bro, he has so much information on his YouTube channel. You could practically learn anything from that man, including science, including improvement, getting better, etc. So there's really no need for you to like watch these random like oh my gosh, it's actually insane. Like sometimes like even when I scroll, like I see the way these people act, like these like random streamers, they just act like fucking like dumbasses. Like, and I don't even want to be mean, but they are helping zero. They are helping no one. They're turning people into like just like stupid people. I don't want you to be stupid. And you will start to think like them, have their same humor, and just be a dumbass. Like when I see these people, like genuinely, like I just like who actually watches this shit? Like who actually watches that? Like I had to get called out to stop watching that stuff. Like my friend Sadula, he saw me watching some like degenerate like streamer. He's like, why do you watch that shit? It's like, that isn't that like immoral? I was like, yeah, you're fucking right. Like I really like looked at my shit, like the stuff I was watching objectively. I was just like, wow, like this shit is actually just brain rot. Like actually just nothing is helping me here. So spend more time away from technology and actually just start watching good content, like my content, if you really want to. Number 2 is going to be what you think about all the time will rule your mind. We are all obsessed with something. There's something that we're all fascinated by, whether that be a girlfriend, a video game, TV show, random shit, that one meme. It's the things that we think about all the time will rule our mind. A lot of the times, like I was obsessed with just I overthink a lot of things. Like I've grown to help it and to redirect my attention. Still, it's like right now, what rules my mind, I try to brainwash myself by being a YouTuber. Like, for example, what I do is I film videos, I read books, I edit videos, I build communities. Like that's what I do. That's like the picture of myself in my head. That's what like I'm fascinated and obsessed with. So no wonder I do this easily. No wonder this is like what I spend most of my time doing. But I'm telling you right now, like those obsessions, those overthinking thoughts that you think about all the time, those things will rule you. And we need to learn how to think. So the best way to fix this problem is to untangle your mind, which what I'm going to have you do is get out a piece of paper and just write down a thought that's always in your mind and just break it down. Because the reason it's reoccurring is because you haven't like closed out the tab yet. You're not finished with that tab. It's like me and you, like imagine a computer screen, right? You open up Google and you open up a bunch of tabs. Those tabs are your thoughts. And what happens is whenever you open up a new tab, you don't close out the one before because you're not finished there. So what you have to do is go back into that thought, go back into that tab, and do what you have to do there first, and then move on. Break down your thoughts one by one instead of opening 8 tabs and just forgetting about them, going to sleep, waking up, and you have 9 more tabs open. It's just a fucking mess. So how you can do this is practice breaking down your thoughts. When you have a journal, that's why journaling's so good, right? Because when you have a thought, you'd be like, okay, like, let's say, for example, I really have this goal in mind, but I don't know how to achieve it, right? So you start breaking it down. Okay, so what are some ways I can do that? And you start breaking it down, because when I explain goals, it's not the output that matters. It's like, for example, if you want to make $10,000 a month, or you want to start a YouTube channel, or you want to get like a certain amount of subscribers on your channel, right? You got to break that down and be like, okay, what can I control? Because ultimately, I can't control how much money I make, and I cannot control how many subscribers I have. But what I can control is the input. The input would be posting videos. The input would be learning new skills. The input would be giving value. That's the input that you can control. Do that with your thoughts. For example, like if you're overthinking about like a girl or something, or you're overthinking about a situation, ask yourself why. Vomit on a piece of paper. That's what I'm saying. Like, vomit and untangle your thoughts and really look at it objectively, because then you can close out the tab. Then you can feel that weight off your shoulder. It will feel so much better if you learn how to do this. Another practice that you can do to claim your mind back is to practice mindfulness, of course, and to start saying words in your mind. Like, for example, right now, what I want you to do is I'm gonna give you a quest. Say like the word I am this in your head. Like, not I am this, but I am strong, like, or I can control my mind. Like, say that in your head, but not out loud. Say it in your head. And what you can do throughout the day is you can say these things in your head to kind of convince yourself and like slowly brainwash yourself. Claim your mind back. Be like, this is mine. I can control my thoughts. I can do this. I can do this. I can do that. And you start to like, it will override, because what happens is the conscious turns into the subconscious, and the subconscious ultimately rules you, right? So putting these thoughts that you want in your mind, by saying them over and over and over again, like I said, like your thoughts will rule you. The things that you think about all the time will rule you. If you think about, okay, I want to be rich, right? You say that in your head over and over and over, right? Eventually, you're going to start doing things to make yourself rich. You're going to start doing things to get you aligned to that. So journaling, to untangling your thoughts, practicing mindfulness, which includes meditation, and brainwashing yourself through your words and your thoughts in your mind. The third thing that controls our minds and our thoughts so much to the point, like, you don't even know it, right? We were never taught about this, but it's the Foggy Diet. And that sounds crazy, right? Like, oh, what's the Foggy Diet? Like, Foggy Diet pretty much is like a high carb diet. You eat a bunch of like sugar, sweets, carbs. You eat a bunch of just stuff that just spikes your insulin, and then like now you're just retarded. For example, like breakfast foods like pancakes, bagels, muffins, pastries, like if you eat that shit first thing in the morning, like you'll be like half retarded for the rest of the day, unfortunately, because that's just how the glycemic index works. Like, for example, the higher the food item on the glycemic index, the more brain fog it will give you, unless like, because everyone's different too, because one thing will give me more brain fog than you, and one thing will give you more brain fog than me. So what I suggest you do is you kind of experiment. Like, for example, number one, just go low carb for the first like week. Just start lowering your carbs down, like lower and lower. Like, obviously get rid of sugar, get rid of just processed shit, and start replacing it with like fructose. Fructose is pretty good. It's low in the glycemic index. But let's really think about it. Like, whenever we're bored, we just eat. Like, a lot of us, like when we're bored, we just either eat for stimulation, or we eat because we're bored, or we eat just because we want to run away from something. And usually the foods that comfort us are the foods like carbs. Like, it's just a cycle, right? You get an intrusive thought, you get anxiety, you eat food, and that numbs your mind even more. And then now you can't even think straight, and that thought just is like running in your mind. Like, it's just a cycle. You do it to yourself though. If we're constantly stuffing our bodies with food, like for example, when you eat food, it's in your stomach, and all the blood, like everything in your body's working to get it digested in your stomach, and you'll be like 10% more retarded, because most of like your body's power is like going to your gut to be digested. So like, for example, if you eat before bed, if you eat before like a study session, if you eat before pretty much anything, like you're more likely to just like be like a little bit less smart than you usually are during that task. But obviously some foods like don't give us brain fog, like fats and proteins don't really give us brain fog unless it has like some like weird sugar, weird chemical. So how do we ultimately fix this, right? It's literally just eat better, get rid of processed sugar, processed foods, eat more high fat, high protein. Like your brain like needs fat to function. It needs protein first of all. Protein's like the building block, and then fat on top of that, and then add in your carbs depending on what activities you do throughout the day. Get rid of the foggy diet, eat more steak, eat more meat, eat more eggs, eat more cholesterol. I'm not a nutritionist, but ever since I started like eating more like high fat, high protein, more meat, more stuff that's like low in the glycemic index, I feel a lot better. I'm sharper, I can think better, I can think more clearly, I can see clearly, I can control my mind. So diet plays a huge part, so take advantage of that. Number 4 is going to be lack of usage. Henry Ford once said that thinking is hard work. That's why there's very few people who do it. So what does that really mean? People don't really like to think. And think of the last time that you thought, like you actually like controlled a thought, like created a thought like by your own will. You weren't just controlled by those little demons in your head. You weren't controlled by outside forces. Because thinking is that kind of hard. It really is hard. It's almost uncomfortable in a sense to actually sit down and be in silence, because that's when like you think, that's when like you have to start thinking, right? It's difficult. But we love, like, it's so much more comfortable to let our mind just like lead us like a leash, like a dog. But we need to be the person holding the leash and guiding our attention towards the thoughts that we want to choose. For example, let me tell you this, right? If you have an intrusive thought, if you have a really bad thought, let's think about them as clouds above our minds. You see off in the distance is a big thunderous cloud, lightning pouring down. It's really dark and scary. But there's also a couple good clouds like falling behind that, right? And in front of you. But all you do is focus on that black cloud. It's almost like it's coming its way, right? It's so far away to the point where you don't even know if it's gonna hit you or not. And so like you start to like prepare and stuff. You keep seeing that dark cloud, right? And you just focus on it. You don't focus at all the good clouds around you. Look at all the good clouds. Look at what's in front of you. Don't look at so far away. A lot of the times, us humans, we like to predict the future. We like to think that, oh yeah, I can control the situation. The reason that we do that, the reason we try to predict the future, is to pretty much protect ourselves. It's to make sure we don't die. That's pretty much what it comes down to. We try to predict the future so we can prepare for pain, prepare for suffering constantly. Like our brain's wired to do that. And so how can we actually start using our mind to our advantage? Like, what is it even like? What does it even feel like to actually use our mind? And things like this, like how to fix this situation is to use your mind by what? Solving problems, learning, reading books, sitting in silence, just letting your mind think and just wonder and be curious. I'm telling you, it'd be really healthy for you to at least take an hour once a week to just put your phone away and just think, just sit down in silence, maybe with a piece of paper out in front of you. It'd be really beneficial for you to, obviously get away from technology, get away from stimulation, go out in nature without your phone maybe, go like explore, just think, just be curious, or just have no stimulation, just sit down and look at a wall. Like go look at a fucking wall every once in a while. Why not? But these practices, what they pretty much do is you can use your mind. You start actually like, okay, this is how I think. These thoughts come up. You start to understand your own psyche. You start to understand what rules your mind. You begin to be more mindful the more you think. The stronger you'll get. The more you read, the more you learn, the more you get that mental muscle. Have you ever done homework or took a test and your mind just hurts? Like your brain just hurts because you're really just either trying to learn, figure out this thing, or you're just frustrated. Like that is actually a good thing. It's like going for a PR almost. It's going for like a personal record in the gym. When you actually like are mental pain, that's a good thing. And not a lot of us experience that because we numb ourselves. The final part of this video is I'm gonna give you a huge quest to go on. What this is gonna be is I want you to pick 2 things from this whole video that I said to do. Like there's four main sections. Pick 2 of them. Pick 2 of them to fix. Either number 1, your stimulation influences. Number 2, figure out the things that rule your mind and start brainwashing yourself. Number 3, foggy diet. Number 4, the lack of usage. Pick 2 things to fix. Because I'm telling you, like, at least give me 2, dude. At least give me 2. I'm telling you, like, probably diet is the one that you should really go for, because that is really a game changer. And the next one's like probably like number the first section, like stimulation and influences, getting rid of just dopamine, getting rid of like watching like short form content like this. This is why like I don't really want to make high edited stuff. Like I don't mind having pictures pop up and like making it look cool and cinematic, but I'm not gonna fuck your mind by making dopamine edited videos. Like I want to like kind of reverse that. You know what I mean? I want to put edits in videos and dopamine stuff like if it's necessary, if I want to like explain a point or something. Or I can just get better at talking. Or I can just make you suffer and make you watch this video all the way through for your attention span. With that too, if you're looking for people who are like-minded, who are struggling with these types of things like ruling your mind, anxiety, intrusive thoughts, join my community. It's free. It's in the link in the description. It's called The Guild. We have over 500 members in there, and I'd be happy to have you. And with that, my friend, make sure you do the quest. Don't forget that. Continue your journey and keep moving forward.